Hey, it's Eric.
And Lex.
And you're listening to the Cutting Room Floor podcast.
It's a weekly conversation devoted to diving deeper into the messages that were preached right here in our church on Sunday morning.
And an authentic space to Selah as we allow the Word of God to work into our everyday lives.
So hey, thank you so much for taking the time to tune in. Why don't you make sure to subscribe so that you don't miss a thing about what's happening on the Cutting Room Floor podcast.
So let's lean in and listen to today's conversation. Well, hey, welcome back to the Cutting Room Floor podcast. Man, I'm so excited that you are listening, joining today in the conversation that we're going to have all about John chapter 6, when Jesus says, I am the bread of life. Mm-hmm. We are coming right off the heels of a great Sunday in our church community, and we're going to kind of get into the cutting room floor. What didn't make it into this sermon? How can we kind of realize, outwork a little bit, this whole idea of Jesus being the satisfier and sustainer of what we long for and need for in life? It's going to get personal. It's going to get practical. And we're so glad that you're listening in. And it's going to be a good day.
It's going to be a great day.
How you doing, my love?
I'm doing wonderful. How are you doing?
Good. I'm great. I'm very good.
You
I'm
look
fully
great.
caffeinated.
No. You've already reached fully caffeinated. You're over that line.
Yep.
Yeah.
I don't know if you've ever had those moments. I mean, I just think I shared it with you when you know you've had enough coffee.
You've had enough.
And you think, I
but
shouldn't
you're going for
drink
more.
This cup.
Let this cup pass for me.
Yet we're doing the podcast. I thought, let's just do it. So it's going to be great.
My favorite version of Eric is hyper caffeinated Eric, actually.
Wow.
Yeah. He gets super talkative. Like, I can know when you've had too much coffee because all of a sudden you will just talk for like 30 minutes. And sometimes I'm like, can't get a word out of you. And then you will just like let it all out. And I'm like, oh, I love it. Let's keep talking. Here's another coffee. Like another espresso.
Our car rides in the morning when I've had my extra cup of morning coffee.
Yeah.
It's
you're like, all right, what about this meeting?
Here's
this. And I'm just kind of like, I'm not ready yet. I'm not ready. I'm not ready.
It's great. It's great.
Anyways, it was a great Sunday.
It was.
Talked about Jesus, the bread of life. Mm-hmm. You brought out some great illustrations. We actually had our daughter in second service.
Yeah.
We haven't done this before yet because she's a bit of a moving girl. Yep. And but we told her if you can try, you know, you're 3.5, you can try to sit in one adult service with us, but you have to be quiet and sit still. So when she saw that you brought out a donut and real bread and gluten-free bread all for your props, she literally was like, she's whispering yelling, Mom, can I have that? She goes, is that real bread? I said, that's real bread. She goes, can I eat it right now? I said, not right now. She goes, when is Daddy going to be done preaching? I said, I don't know, baby. It might be a second.
Take a while.
But I said, you can have it afterwards. So she was ecstatic about it. But it was a great message about Jesus, the bread of life. Mm-hmm. And we talked about how he is the true bread. Yep. That was your second point, right?
Wow. Yeah, nailed it.
What was your first point?
He's
our daily bread, and he's our true bread. Right. So I loved it.
Yeah. Good.
That was awesome. How did you feel about it?
Good. Yeah. I really enjoyed it, actually. It's one of those messages I feel like as someone who preaches and pastors a congregation, there's times that me and you, we like need to prepare sermons and teachings and content that we know the church needs. Mm-hmm. Like, hey, that's important.
Healthy
we
for
talk
us,
about this doctrinal thing. That's important that we learn about this aspect of life in God and in community and current culture, etc. But then there's other times that you do that, but it just so happens that sermon is really speaking to you.
Right.
Like, there's this weird tension. Like, you always want to preach what I've lived, and I always want to preach what's relevant and real for me.
Yeah.
But there's also this demand of preaching and teaching that's like, hey, some things I preach aren't real for me today.
Not every message will have that same
at some point in my life. But there's some that hit the window where it's good for the church and it's also good for me. Yeah. All at the same time on a personal level. This was one of those types of messages where I think I maybe am realizing more than ever. Like we sang that old Hillsong song. All I need is you.
Come on, Jad, lead us. You, Lord, is you. Wait for it. 'Cause all I need.
Exactly.
That song is so good.
Really creative lyrics.
Yeah. We just basically hit that over and over again. Yeah.
But there's the idea that like, hey, I need in my personal life. I think I'm learning this right now to get personal quickly. My desperate need for God every day. And I think, again, like in our faith with God, I think the great challenge is moving from what I know is true to personalizing, to getting it in your spirit, that's true for me.
Yeah.
And I think every Christian everywhere would say, yeah, I need God. I think there's also, though, different moments in life when that realization, that bit of knowledge becomes personally real and gives life to your soul. And I think I'm in a season of my life personally, in my mental health, emotional health, in our leadership, where I am realizing, God, I am utterly dependent on you.
Utterly, yeah.
Like, I really need you. Like, I keep seeing holes in the way I lead. I see similar walls that I'm hitting in my pastoring journey as a father, as a husband, in my personal health, my personal life. Like, God, I need you. Like, I don't just need you conceptually. I don't just need you like
generally. Yeah.
Generally, I actually need you to be my daily bread. Like, today, God, I'm dependent.
I need you today.
I'm dependent on your help, on your wisdom, on your grace, on your love. I'm dependent on you helping me feel like I'm worthy, on you helping me feel like I belong, on you helping me feel safe and cared for and kept. Like, I don't just need you for what you give me in the sense of like you give me food to eat. I need you for what you can be for me.
Who you are for me.
Which is a place where I can find everything in life that I long and ache for. So I think I'm learning that, and that could be a whole podcast in itself. So I think when it comes to them preaching that, there is a different sense for me of passion around it. Yeah. Because I think I really believe that God wants to be our daily bread. Yeah. And I think I've found in my own life, which is a bit of the sermon, how many times I look to other sources in my life, personally, as a pastor. I look to other sources of sustenance to quench the longing of my soul, what I want, what I desire, what I crave. I look for other things to fill that gap when really God's wired us, created us, that he would be that person. Yeah. And so we can talk about that a little bit today if you want, like kind of what that looks like, because I think that's where the rubber meets the road and where I think this message moves from being, like a concept that we now capture. Cool, we know another I am statement of Jesus, to something that I think can really change your life. Yeah, I agree. And how you approach, really everything. So I agree. Anyway, for all those reasons, I loved it.
It's so good.
It was a fun message to preach. I hope people got something from that sense. I'm excited to dig into it a little bit.
I'm sure they did,
What about you? What spoke to you? I know you shared with me some great thoughts on our drive home yesterday. Yeah. Around where you're needing the Lord and like his help. Talk to me about that and what does it look like for us, like me and you, and then for us, those listening, like how do we come to find Jesus be our bread of life on a Monday at 1:20?
Yeah. No, I think it was so good. And I think for me, I think the part that I walked away with is, as a Christian, we can't be living on leftovers. Yeah. And that whole idea that God gave the Israelites enough manna for that day and that he commanded them, actually don't take it and try to bring it into like the next day for it's going to go bad. Like, I will supply all you need for this day, learning to teach them faith and to teach them obedience and to teach them dependence on him. And I think as Christians, what I felt personally challenged and encouraged in is we can either lean one way or the other, where we're living on yesterday's leftovers. So I'm living on what God did then, or how he spoke to me then, or, how it was when I first got saved, or this song really moved me, rather than say, oh, God, lead me into the future, be my daily bread today. Or you live spiritually fat you're just like, you're at every event, you're at every Sunday, and you're at every small group, and you're doing everything, but you're not allowing God to work through you as a vessel. So you're just spiritually fat. You're not actually being poured out, right? God pours into us, and then we pour out, and then he pours in, and then we pour out. And so I think there's a temptation on both ditches to either be living on the yesterdays, living on leftovers, or to be spiritually fat. I feel like right now we are both just like, no, Lord, we just desperately need you, that we're kind of right there in the middle, but it's easy to go back and forth. So I don't know. I just felt like yesterday's message hit me personally. I feel like we're still finding our feet in a lot of ways, to be as transparent as is healthy or, available on a podcast like this when it comes to leading and pastoring and having young kids, that I do like daily. I need God. I need his help daily. Like daily, I need my Father's help is what I feel like. There's so many things. I don't know how we're supposed to do this. I don't know how to make this decision. And just like I would go to my dad when I was growing up, like, teach me how to do this. I feel like we're learning that with God. Like, Father, show us how to pastor. Give us wisdom how to lead. Help us to help us to train up our kids and to raise them. Help us to get our kids to sleep through the night because we're tired. Like, there's so many areas where we need him. Yeah, so I felt like it was,
I love that.
it hit me, and I think it hit people in the room. And I think I loved your examples of the gluten-free bread versus the false, like things that don't actually fill us. What I love about you is that you had such a low bar in marriage when it came to the food that I cooked, because you thought everything I made was good, and none of it was good. And I remember when we met, we were talking about, because I grew up in a super healthy home, and you grew up in a beautiful home as well, maybe just not as healthy. Beth, I love you if you're listening to this. Okay, I'm not judging you. I'm just saying. My mom, but for him, like I could get was like peanuts and dark chocolate if I wanted like a treat. So I was restricted. And I remember when Eric and I met, he was telling me how he thought that white bread was healthy. He thought pizza was healthy. He thought white bread was healthy. Like if I'm eating white bread and butter, like I'm having nourishment to my body.
Well, health is relative.
Health is relative.
It was, my option was, do I want a bar of candy, or do I want...
So you chose the healthy choice.
White bread or butter? And I'm like, holy smokes.
I have that healthy choice.
The picture of health. Like white bread is healthy.
Absolutely.
Pizza's very healthy.
The food pyramid. You got a lot of carbs on the bottom. Yeah.
It's got carbs, which is great. Bread's good. It's got sauce, which is tomato made. It's a
That's
vegetable.
a vegetable. Or is it a fruit?
It's a fruit.
We don't know. Okay.
It has cheese, which is dairy.
Dairy,
A little dairy always helps everybody. And then it has pepperonis, which is protein.
Tell me how it's not the perfect
food. About that. Like,
Tell me how it's not the perfect food.
And I laugh now genuinely for the first...
No, you believed
it. Yeah, for the first 20 years of my life, I thought if I'm having a slice of pizza, this is like... Not healthy is candy.
I don't know
healthy is pop.
If your soul... I don't know if your body... I don't know if a vegetable hit your system till your mid-20s.
No, still this day, I'll go weeks and be like, I don't think I've had a vegetable for like
That's
2
not
weeks.
Good.
I know. We're working on it, baby. Yeah, don't act like you're the picture of health now, Mrs. Chick-fil-A.
Listen.
We're working on it.
We're working on it.
We're going to get there.
We're working on it.
Come find us in 6 months.
Get better every day.
Get
better every day. But anyways... how did I get there?
What we're talking about.
I was talking about, no, this is it.
Daily bread.
Daily bread. No, because I thought your example was so good, because I am gluten-free. It's a lifestyle, not a diet. It's what we like to say, Zach and I. My brother-in-law, Zach, and I were both gluten-free. Yeah. And have been for many years. But when you went gluten-free for 9 days, you lasted the journey. You did so well. I was so proud of you for giving it a 9-day shot.
That's pretty good, I think. I really do. I was impressed with myself.
Anyways,
that was a brag when I brought that up. Like, I went 9 days. It wasn't a like, look how dumb I am. But
anyway, but you talked about how you never got full.
Right.
When you make gluten-free bread, which I understand, because I feel the same way. Like you could eat 1,000,000 pieces of gluten-free bread and you'd still be hungry. But the moment you eat a piece of sourdough bread, you're satisfied, because gluten-free bread is not real bread.
That's right.
And I think
the real
that,
thing, baby.
And your point, which I think is so powerful, and I think it's important for all of us, and even though it's simple, it's actually deep, is that we so often as believers, as people who don't know the Lord, but also as people who follow Jesus, we look for counterfeit sources of nourishment for our souls. And it will only leave us longing. Yeah. And I think that looks different for everybody, but I think that all of us experience that. So we all share in the same experience of looking for that counterfeit, whatever we think our hearts, our souls need besides the Lord. But I think that the experience of that looks different for all of us. So maybe we could talk a little bit for the rest of this podcast about what that looks like for us, what we're learning, the desire behind the desire. We talked about a little bit of what our souls are longing for the most is the person of Jesus. But sometimes we have to do a little bit of work, a little bit of digging to get us there.
Yeah. No, I think that's so important for all of us. Like, I think for me, I've found that so important. And I think in different seasons of my life, maybe I've had less of an awareness. I think maybe it started for me as an awareness of, again, we're talking about our souls. Like, we're talking about our mental health, our physical health, our emotions, our connection point with God. Like, I think for me, I've lived a lot of life so fast, so rushed, so going from thing to thing, that awareness of where I'm at in a given moment, emotionally, mentally, spiritually, I'm not aware of what I'm feeling. I'm not aware of where I am. And so our bodies, and again, I'm not a psychologist and I'm not a neuroscientist, but from what I've worked with my counselor, learned a few things. So, but again, I'm not trying to be an expert on this. So listen to somebody else on that.
This is present tense.
what I'm learning. Just what I know is my body and my brain have a autopilot system.
Yeah.
When I don't have intentional awareness, the world might call it mindfulness. I think the scriptures just teach us to be aware of where you are in life, be present with reality, with what's true. Then I find myself kind of going back to old sources that I've become familiar with to try to satisfy what I'm needing in a given moment. Let me just give you a very simple example.
Yeah.
It's one that we're working on, like actively. We have a big day of work. There's demand, there's pressure, there's meetings, there's decisions. Some days can be like you're helping people in the weightiest moments of their lives, in the face of addiction, depression, affairs, the death of
children
people that are close.
Sick. Yeah. Mm.
And so you come home after a day like that. We then have little kids, and so for those who've had or have little kids, there's a demand there. Going home from work, I often
we're not
joke,
done working.
is not actually going. It's not actually being like there's more work.
It's our second and most important shift.
Coming to the office is less work than the time going home after work. And there's a demand, right? The kids want your attention.
And that's their time. They deserve that time.
They deserve it.
Yeah.
And so you want to give it to them. You want to give them your attention. You want to make them food, clean the house, get them ready for their bedtime routine, all the things. To where on a given normal day of our lives, for me and my life, by 7 o'clock, 7:30, our kids are in bed sleeping. There's like this wave of tiredness that will come over me. I'm carrying the weight of the day. There's unprocessed emotion from the day that sometimes, man, that was a really hard conversation, or we had to bring correction, or we had to help someone in a weighty point of their life. Our kids, they were stressful. There was a lot. They're tired,
or they're not feeling good,
or whatever's going on. Where at 7 o'clock, I would get into this pattern where I would find myself just exhausted, like depleted. Like I have nothing left to give. I have nothing to give you. I have nothing to give anybody. And so what I would do, not aware of any of this, I would find myself in this recurring pattern of turning to TV.
Yeah.
Where 7:30, I'm like, I need mindless
relief.
Numbing right now. Mm-hmm. And so there's a football game on, there's a basketball game.
Or some people it might be their phone.
Show.
Yeah, for me it's my phone.
Maybe for you.
Yeah.
It's social media. But for me, like I'd find myself where I would just sit and I'd have these bad rhythms of from 7 p.m. to 10 p.m. I'm in front of a screen. Yeah. I'm eating unhealthy food. I'm bringing no part of my being, myself, to my wife,
exhausted.
My family, God. Mm-hmm. And honestly, that habit it doesn't feel what I need.
No.
And what I think I need, hear this. What I think I need is relief.
Yeah.
I just need a break.
Yeah.
And I get exasperated and I'm just exhausted. I deserve this. And then you can get into the
entitlement
mindsets.
Yeah.
I deserve to have some me time. I deserve to have television.
Yeah.
Again, I'm not anti-TV.
And you think that's going to deliver the relief for your heart that you need.
You think eating and binging a Netflix series tonight, or watching that game, or scrolling on social media, or tuning out. And this is one example of my life.
Yeah.
You think that's going to resolve what you need.
Yeah, I just need a moment.
This. What I'm learning is what's the desire behind the desire.
Yeah.
The desire is to have relief. The desire is to be entertained. The desire is to have something that I enjoy without me having to work for it. Right?
Yeah.
That's the desire. I want to be able to sit and somebody else finally serves me.
Because I'm giving out all day long.
And that would be this TV show.
Yeah.
The desire behind that desire is actually a sense of real and deep rest. Mm-hmm. It's actually a desire to say, hey, Eric, well done today. Yeah. You're seen.
Yeah, what you did was
you
enough.
You are known. Yeah. Mm-hmm. You are loved. Mm-hmm. The person that's there that's been pulled on by employees and church members and children, and everybody needs answers and has questions, and everybody needs something. That you know what, Eric, we see you. Yeah. We know you. You're loved.
You're more than
you're approved
that.
of. You're affirmed.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
There's a sense of a deeper love. That's the desire. Yeah. And what I'm trying to eat right now is some Netflix, so I just have a sense of relief. But that's never filled that desire. But you know what I found? This small thing. What I've learned. This is why I said it's so real for me right now. Yeah. This I might have already lost you. You might have already turned this off. But it sure helped me.
If you're still here.
You're still here.
Yeah.
What has helped me is number one, being aware of what I'm feeling. Being aware in a given moment of what I need, what my soul, again, the need behind the need, the deeper desires of my soul, what I'm longing for. And then just making a simple pivot. It's not about throwing away TV. We still will enjoy TV. Yeah. It's not about getting rid of sports or other things. But what I do is just a simple pivot to remind myself, no, Jesus, you are the bread of life.
Yeah.
You are my daily bread. You are my true bread. And so I'm going to, after I get the kids down, and I'm going to do the demand and do the work, and I'm going to, throughout the day, I'm going to learn to find quiet times with God. But I get to that same point that usually at 7 o'clock, I'm depleted, I'm crushed, I have nothing left to give. I need, now it's turned into a need.
Yeah.
Like my body aches for Netflix. Now I'm going to pause there. And I'm going to do the much harder thing.
Yeah.
Which is not to turn the TV on. I'm just going to get quiet in my heart. I'm going to go stand outside. I'm going to be quiet, and I'm going to lean on God again. I'm going to say, God, right now, I need you.
Yeah.
I'm going to be present with what I'm feeling. God, I'm feeling
rest.
overwhelmed.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I'm feeling like, man, I feel really ashamed of the way I led that. Maybe I made a bad decision that meeting. God, I'm feeling like no one notices, no one sees. God, I'm feeling like I'm just depleted. I'm empty. Jesus, be my daily bread.
Yeah.
I get reminded, my favorite scripture right now is that God is the shepherd
and the overseer,
of my soul.
Yeah.
So God, here's my soul. Shepherd it. Oversee it. I'm utterly dependent on you for the integration of my soul right now. And then we just make different decisions. Different decisions, like me and you connecting, like us sitting out by a fire, like us having a glass of wine.
And that's
like
so much more life-giving.
And what that does is actually, it's not this whole spiritual thing. I don't go fast for 5 hours. I have no energy to fast for 5 hours. It's a small little detour moment.
Yeah.
And then some new habits that we work into our life to go, no, I'm not just going to think Netflix is the bread I need. That's a counterfeit source of sustenance. Jesus is the bread of life.
Yeah.
You can multiply that in my life in a million ways, in a million areas. And to me, I feel like that's where, for me, this idea of Jesus being my bread, being the one I need, I feel like when I've gotten to there more regularly, what I've found is God show up every time.
Yeah.
What I found is I hear the voice of God. It's not out loud, just in my spirit. I hear the voice of God. I feel his reaffirmation. I feel his love. I feel his grace. I get ideas. I feel refreshed. So when I go to bed at night, I'm at peace, and I can wake up and start my day in peace.
Yeah.
This is something, I'm not doing this practice, this awareness with God weekly. I'm not doing it daily. I'm doing it minute by minute, hour by hour in my day. It's a real-time practice in my life to go, all right, I'm feeling that sense of pressure again, or that whatever that is.
Yep.
Jesus, I come back right to you. You are all I need.
I think that's so good. And I think that's why when we talk about how, though this series is simple, it's simple in theory, it's deep in application. Yeah. So like some people, I think sometimes we think like, Jesus is my daily bread. I just got to get in the word for 5 minutes a day. I'm getting in my devotion time daily. No. It's so much more than that. Yeah. He is the bread for our souls. Yeah. Like, yes, it's good. It is great for you to get into the word daily. It is great for you to have Devo time. It's great. That's wonderful. I think that's so important for us. It's more than that. Yeah. Jesus didn't say, hey, I am the bread of life. Come read the Bible eventually when it's written 5 minutes a day. No, he's saying everything you're looking for, everything you're hungry for, everything you ache for is found in me.
Yeah. And I think the Netflix example, what I described, I think is a very surface level example.
It is a surface level, but there are much deeper examples that people deal with in their lives.
And I heard someone say, I think John Tyson said this, he said to learn, he had to learn to let his longings lead him to Jesus. Mm-hmm. And I think for me, like I really do think, and then maybe we're getting a little heavy on the podcast, when it comes to the deeper, more intense longings of the human soul, like the longing for sex, the pornography industry, the people who want to have affairs,
the longing for escape and affair,
for escape, the meaningless hookup, for apps to search and to scroll and to find women if you're married.
The longing for success that drives
these
you.
Deeper longings, longings that drive addictions, longings that drive behavior you're not proud of.
Longings for I'm in so much pain, my soul is so numb from what's been done to me that I actually just I can't go on.
I think Jay Stringer has this book, right? Unwanted. This idea of these unwanted behaviors of my life, these patterns that are recurring, the ones we don't tell people about.
Yeah, the ones
the deeper thoughts.
That's not being shared at small group.
That we struggle with. The thoughts around things we want to do, we want to say, things we want to achieve, things we want to become and be in life. And the Netflix thing is a simple example. That's where you start with awareness. But I think as it gets to that, it's getting to the desire behind the desire. Yeah. Like if you're like, man, I've been contemplating an affair. I feel like I have these intrusive thoughts and I see this person and it always makes me wonder what it would be like to have that. I have this longing for that and I feel ashamed of it. I know I'm not supposed to. I feel like it's wrong, but I can't turn it off. I don't know here's what Christians do.
They just try to repress.
We repress it and we harbor it and we don't tell anybody about it and we live ashamed of it because we know that's so wrong. here's what I want you to hear. Let your longing
lead you to Jesus.
Because listen.
Why do you feel that way? Yeah.
The desire behind the desire to go have a quick affair, to feel whatever you're longing to feel, listen, Jesus can actually fully satisfy and sustain you with that hunger. He can be the bread for that hunger. And so I think sometimes our Christian model doesn't serve us well, because what we're told is you better fight what you long for. You better deny and repress those longings, those things you ache for, when really Jesus says, no. You're hungry. I'm your answer. Bring your hunger to me.
Let me heal those parts of you that are causing you to act this way. Look for this. No, I think it's so good. I mean, I remember there was one day as we were pastoring where we found out that I think 3 people had affairs that were in our lives that we were pastoring. And you think sometimes you can be forced to think, oh my gosh, I can't believe this is happening. But actually you can, because you can look along the path of your lives and moments and decisions where we're not allowing Jesus to satisfy us.
Right.
And life has a way of bringing out the longings within.
That's right, it does.
For all of us. And we all have different longings. I mean, I think it can be like I think it can be sexual for some. I think it can be looking for approval and looking for it's worth, right? I think that it's different for everybody. But I do think that as followers of Jesus, like getting past the surface of, Lord, I've got things going on in my life. And I've tried, and I've tried to white knuckle my way out of this, and to no avail. Because actually, what you want to do in me is so much deeper than changing my behavior. What you want to do in me is get within my heart and within my soul and heal me to make me whole. So that looks like awareness. That looks like slowing down. That looks like saying, Lord, I need you. I'm dependent on you. And I think when we don't do that, that our behavior everything comes from within our heart, right? Proverbs 4:23 is that it guards your heart, because out of it flows everything in life. And so, and I think for me, like, you know, you shared about the Netflix thing. And I think for me, there's certain things that I'm aware of this too, the desire behind the desire of Jesus, areas where Jesus is not the bread of life for me, but it's on offer still. It's never because he isn't the bread of life. It's only because I haven't come to him in this area of my life. And so I think for me, it's been interesting. Like, as we've gone on this journey of pastoring, I lived a very, 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 very normal life before this. You know, I guess I never was in a place where somebody would view me and look at my life and maybe cast thoughts or judgment. Never in a fishbowl. It's even funny to say that, because you don't want to make it sound bigger of a deal than it is, or make it about you, and it's not. But I think the most challenging part for me, if I can be honest, about pastoring has been that aspect. It's the most challenging part for me has been the feeling that of vulnerability. Of transparency, that people are looking like that. I don't have that privacy anymore that I used to have. Now I do have it, because you have to have certain boundaries, but that's been really challenging for me to get up and share a message about what God's been speaking to you in front of thousands of people. That's been really challenging for me.
To share your parenting, to share your mothering, to share how you look physically.
Everybody watching how our kids are doing and how Olive's doing, and she bit this kid in class. That's great. I already know she was biting. Like, we're working on it. She's not biting anymore.
We're privately working on that, but cool. Now everybody gets to know about that.
You know, it's that times a million. And so what that makes me feel is really vulnerable. Just like I'm out here on display for anybody to look at, watch, and cast opinions.
Which is the call of leadership.
And
one that God is not unfamiliar with people feeling, but to feel that is a
and it's
lonely
not
place
because
sometimes.
I don't feel like my life is worthy of following. Like, I don't feel shame about. I don't feel like there's a different me when I'm at home and a different me at church. It's not that. It's just the raw vulnerability
stop
of
looking at me and stop asking me my opinion on scripture. You decide whatever you want to do. You pick this time.
And I just haven't been used to that. So I know God's going to help me grow into that. And I know that for you grew up as a pastor's kid, so that's not as much a challenge for you, but it is a challenge for me. And so I can tell for me after when we've gotten into this rhythm of pastoring, I can tell for me that I have a tendency, when I'm looking for relief, I want to withdraw from people, because I feel like that's going to give me the privacy and the safety that I need. So after we get home from church on a Sunday, I want to draw the shades. Literally and also not and metaphorically.
Yeah.
I want to draw the shades. I don't want anybody to be like, I don't want it to open up to anybody.
Yeah.
And that's actually not healthy for me, because that's actually not who I am.
Yeah.
And who I am is that I love people, and I love letting people in, and I love getting to know people, and it's healthy for me to be in community.
Yep.
But the desire behind the desire for me, like, I literally, like, I just want to, like, withdraw.
Yeah.
And so I'm looking for relief from people seeing me or knowing me. When actually, when
safety,
I'm looking for the desire behind the desire is that I want to find safety,
yeah.
and I want to feel protected.
Right.
And so I think that when I withdraw as like a behavior for that, it does the opposite, because I'm not getting like, I'm not being with the people who can speak life over me and speak life into my heart and soul. So I found that the only one who can help me in that space of feeling vulnerable is the Lord.
That's right.
And that he is the bread of life for me there. And that when I go to him and just spend time in his presence, when I just take a moment, I'm just going to stop everything I'm doing, and I'm just going to open up the Bible, and I'm just going to actually be still and like bring it to him. Like, Lord, I'm feeling vulnerable right now. I'm feeling exposed. I'm feeling like I don't like this. It's not fun for me. This is a challenge. And he whispers to me that I'm your strong tower. I'm your safety. I'm going to actually be a shield around you. It's moments like that where it's like, okay, Lord, you're right. You can satisfy my need for safety, my need for protection. I can go back out and be who you're called me to be. But obviously I'm like getting emotional about that. But it's the desire behind the desire. That way, because when you don't let God heal the places within, you will go out and your actions
100%
will hurt people. You'll spew it on everybody.
Yep.
100%. The people you love most.
100%.
You'll spew it on them.
Yeah. Well, thanks for sharing that. I can relate. I feel that. And I think, hey, this is our most vulnerable podcast episode yet. So I hope you can find your own story in the mix of this conversation. But I think it's a real place. And I think that's the issue. I feel like a lot of people, Christians, non-Christians alike, what we do is we are very good at putting quick spiritual band-aids on the aspects of our life that aren't fully healthy. And we do that by quoting a quick scripture or saying, I already know the 7 I am statements of Jesus. Like, I already know how he's the bread of life. All good. Check the box. I got it. He's the bread of life. Whatever. Let's move on. When really, I think it's actually right now, our churches, and we are, maybe this conversation, God is inviting us to a deeper place with him than we've been before. He's inviting us to awaken some things on the inside that we didn't even know he would care about. That he would actually say, hey, like, I see you there. I want to fulfill you there. I don't want you to have to live with that narrative. I don't want to have to live with those same unwanted behaviors. I don't want you to live with those recurring habits. Like, I actually want to be your source and your narratives within. I want to be your bread. I want to introduce you to a kind of Zoe life, to a kind of deep and meaningful, purpose-filled, right, God-designed kind of life that you never thought possible.
Totally.
I'm not just talking about physical healing, and I'm not just talking about like prosperity or being, I'm talking about something that money can't buy you, that health can't give you. I'm talking about something so deep within your spirit that you would be a whole person. You would be integrated, be healthy. You could deal with your past. You could resolve the anger that lives within from your childhood. You could resolve these decisions you're making and you don't have any control. You don't know how to do it. That he wants to be that kind of bread for you. And to me, I feel like my hope is for you listening today, like that we could together continue that kind of journey with God. The challenge with it takes a little bit more work. It means you have to bring yourself to the surface.
To the table.
It means you got to say, all right, God, here I am, wounds and all, pain and all.
You need honesty.
Hurt and all, fears and all. It means that you have to, kind of go to some places you've never gone to before with God. But what's amazing is I feel like when you're able to find Jesus in those spaces as your bread of life, that's where change happens. That's where transformation happens. That's where he can rewrite the story of your life. He can speak to you truth when you're believing lies. He can help to get into who you are as a human being. To make you and help you become who he's called you and created you to be.
And then we grow in dependency on him. Every day. It's just a journey. We grow.
And then even more every day, we start singing, all I need is you. Like you become to realize that my Christian life isn't just a religious add-on to my otherwise lived life. I am utterly dependent on you today, God. To to be everything you've called and created me to be.
And I think it also helps to which we're going in a different direction. We can end it here soon, but it helps to take away the fear of the future, right? The restlessness that our souls feel. I mean, I think that like anxiety, depression, fear the enemy's just gripped our generation with. And I think that there are layers to that. That's complex. I think that you need help to sometimes come out of that pit, like a licensed therapist. I think the reality is that we're living in a world where we have so much information that we were never created to carry. And so rather than learning to live as a believer with grace that God has for today, this set of 24 hours, he has given me manna. He has given me daily bread. He has given me grace and ability for today. And so I trust him for today. I don't know what tomorrow's going to hold, but I don't need to worry about tomorrow. Just like he says in Matthew 6, today has enough worry of its own. And so, Lord, you are my daily bread, and I'm not going to get ahead to tomorrow, and I'm not going to get ahead to next month, and I'm not going to get ahead to what if this happens in 4 months. I can't, because that produces anxiety, and it produces like all these things that we were actually never created to carry. If I can just learn every single day to depend on Jesus for my daily bread, I know he's with me here. He has grace for me for the rest of this workday. For when I get home, he has grace for me today. And I know that he'll have grace for me tomorrow. That's right. And that's got to be enough for me.
That's great. Yeah, I think it was, I forget, you had said Robert Ferguson maybe, or some pastor that had talked about that idea, that anxiety is nothing more than trying to live today, or I'm butchering it. No, anxiety is nothing more than me trying to live, into the future for grace I don't have for that day yet.
Yeah, for grace I only have today. For not realizing that God gives me grace for today.
Someone smarter than us said it way better. But there's grace for today.
There's a reason it's daily bread.
Anxiety that sometimes lives.
There's a reason it's daily bread. It's not weekly bread. It's not monthly bread. It's not, I'm just going to give you bread for the whole entire year. Then you don't need me anymore. No. My soul needs God every single day. I need him. I need communion with him. All the things.
No, it's so good. Well, I hope you are encouraged today. I hope you're encouraged to go, all right, God, like help me learn to live the kind of life you've called me to live to be the bread of Zoe life for me. Lord, help me to deal with some things on the inside, even today as you're listening to this, as you're thinking of those things in your life. Invite God into that. God, I'm going to actually invite you into that space of my life, that space of my heart. I'm going to ask you to be my satisfier, sustainer of my soul. That we would learn to know Jesus as our bread, as our bread of life, and that each and every day. I know you have concerns tomorrow. I know there's things that are happening in weeks and months from now. There's dreams in your heart about the future. Listen, there's bread for today. So you focus on today. Do your work today. Do marriage, life, parenting, family, all the things today. God's given you grace right now. When tomorrow comes, you'll have all the grace you need. So we love you. Thanks for listening again to this conversation. Pray you're encouraged. If you were, let us know. Love to hear from you, hear what God's doing in your heart and life. Otherwise, we can't wait to see you next time right here on the Cutting Room Floor podcast.